Welcome to the Jamaica Diaspora Show. Today I have a very, very special guest. Dr. Trisha Bailey is an entrepreneur, is a businesswoman, is a philanthropist. She is from Hartford, Connecticut. No, let me back that up. She is from Jamaica, but she grew up in Hartford, Connecticut. This is for our audience, which is in the US, UK, and Canada. Welcome, Dr. Bailey. Welcome to the Jamaica Diaspora Show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, as I said, you were born in Jamaica.
Yes.
And where in Jamaica were you born?
So I was born in Woodland, St. Elizabeth.
Woodland,
Almost no one knows where Woodland is.
Yeah, I know where, I know St. Elizabeth. I know the Black River area.
Yeah, so it's close to, Black River is the next closest city to Woodland.
Okay.
But we were talking about maybe 45 minutes from Woodland.
Okay.
So
Right.
very, very, very rural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you attended schools there?
I did. I went to elementary there, so I went to Springfield All Age,
Okay.
which is the border in town to Woodland is
Okay.
Springfield.
All right. Now, I'm aware that now you came here to the United States at what age?
At 13.
13. So what grades were you able to attend while you were in Jamaica?
So I was in Jamaica up to 6th grade.
6th grade.
And then when I came here, after the variation of tests that they make you take, they put me in the 8th grade.
So you just jumped 2 grades when you came here?
Yes.
Okay. That's why, you see, because I always hear that when people come from Jamaica and they come into our school system here in the United States, that sometimes they get misplaced. And it's always the case where they are a little bit more advanced than...
Yeah, most of the times. I think because the education system in Jamaica is a tad bit more advanced. We start earlier school than here in the States. Most people start 3 or 4 that start going to school, where in the States here it's kindergarten is 5.
Okay, so then you got from 13 you went into the 8th grade.
Yes.
At what school?
At Quirk Middle.
Quirk Middle.
Yes.
And went from Quirk Middle to
Weaver High.
Weaver High.
Weaver High, yeah.
Okay, Weaver.
So I'm a Weaver Beaver.
You're a Weaver Beaver. Go Beavers.
Yes.
All right. Now, I want to talk about Weaver. Now, you were a track athlete?
Yeah, I was. I was an athlete. I ran track at Weaver, started in the 10th grade.
Okay.
And then I later was recruited by University of Connecticut.
Okay, so before you just, like, that's the 10th grade. So before you got into track, I mean, did you do it at the elementary level?
No, never at the elementary level. It's I tell this story. I always ran when I was in Jamaica, but I wasn't running for a purpose. I just liked running. I liked running. Actually, there was the funniest thing about when I started running home from school. So Springfield is the high school kids meet at the junction. The elementary kids go to Springfield, and then the high school kids, they go to middle quarters. So they go in 2 opposite directions, but we all meet at a center place. And there was a boy who was in high school, and I was in the 6th grade, and I wanted to walk next to him. Don't know his name, never spoke to him. I just ran to the junction so that I could walk behind him. So that's how I started running.
Okay, chasing boys. Basically, right?
Yeah, sort of, yes. Chasing boys.
Okay, well, and you were a distance runner. What distance?
I was middle distance, so I was 400 and 800.
Okay, because I like running too. You haven't tried the marathon yet, have you?
I decided I was going to do a marathon because I had not, and this was in my 20s. I did not.
Oh.
So you're supposed to build up, and the last run is supposed to be a 20-mile run. So I went out and I did the run because it's a month left before you get to the marathon. And when I finished that run, that 20-mile run, I said, my body's not supposed to do this. So I never did it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pretty grueling.
It was intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were high. You were track. Did you How did you place in the States? I don't.
So I was my sophomore year when I started running. I was number 2 in the States, number 2 in state open, number 2 in New England, number 2 in the nation,
Wow.
because we had an athlete who was actually on the team with me, and she was a senior, and my goal was.
She was always beaten.
She was always number 1. Yes,
Yeah.
I beat her once, so I can proudly say I beat her one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you went to UConn on a scholarship.
So yes. So after she left, then I was a front runner for all the 400, 800, as well as the 1600.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to University of Connecticut on a scholarship.
Okay.
Yeah.
How'd you do there?
I did well. I did very well there. I was academic All-American and Big East All-American. So I did very well there.
So like, about how many track meets would you have? Like in a year?
So we ran all year round. So because I did cross country, indoor and outdoor track, and we had a meet every week, once a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was 360.
Okay. So now I wanted to ask, like during those years, like those are the formative years, high school, like college, who were your role models, or who for track? I mean, who did you look towards? Who was the big track person then?
So the only person I would say that I really looked towards was a young woman who ran on the team with me, because my inspiration was to beat her. I said, I want to beat, her name is Maxine Clark, and I was like, I want to beat Maxine Clark, because she was doing well in school, and she was doing well in athletics as well. And but outside of her, there was no one else that I really looked towards. I've always had this internal motivation that's deep inside.
No Olympic champions that you, okay.
No.
So, okay.
I mean, I admired, Merlin Audis of the world, and and things like that, FloJo, but there wasn't a direct inspiration as to my life.
Okay. As far as, because you have this, I know you now have a doctorate. Okay. You have, just to have that thirst of education, for education, what drove that thirst?
I knew that, I mean, in our culture, in Jamaica, is like, education is the #1 component to developing yourself or your community or being impactful. And I just knew that I wanted to go far. And in my vision of what far looked like, it was to get a doctorate degree. So I knew that level of success is a place that I wanted to be, and I knew that very, very early on.
So, but what was your undergraduate?
My undergrad was Human Development, Family Relations, and a concentration with early childhood. So basically, education for little people.
And then you got a master's.
A master's in business administration.
Okay.
And then I had my doctorate in management and organizational leadership with a concentration in finance.
Okay, but now at one point, when you graduated, you became a stockbroker.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about.
So so when I graduated, I wanted to move on to do a doctorate in education. My mom told me I wasn't patient enough, so I can't teach other people's children. So I said, okay, I got to figure it another path.
Okay.
And since my all the jobs I've had were always in the bank, I decided to go towards the financial division. I was applying for jobs after I graduated from UConn, and I sent all these resumes, and Solomon Smith Barney, there was a job opening there, and I said, I'm not applying to them. This is the largest company. They're not going to hire me. And surprisingly, they were the only ones who called me. So I went through that process of interviewing, grueling interviews, and they ended up hiring me, and I was the youngest broker in the country, in the company. And I did very well there as well.
So how long did you stay there?
I was there for a little bit over 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, a little bit over 4 years.
Okay. And then from there.
So from there, I wanted to have a child, which is my firstborn, Natalia. And I knew that my lifestyle and the work schedule wasn't conducive to having a child and giving them the time that they deserve and need. because I was in the office from 6 o'clock in the morning every day. I didn't leave some days until 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So I decided to switch to the pharmaceutical industry. That gave me more flexibility.
Right, I mean, but like that's a far jump.
It is.
From stockbroker to pharmaceutical. How did you?
And so it's interesting because one of the young ladies that worked with me, she played basketball for UConn as well while I was there, and her husband worked as a pharmaceutical sales rep. And when I was considering the transition, part of the, being a financial advisor, stockbroker, you have to find the client, then qualify the client, and then manage the portfolio and do a good job to retain the clients. So the hardest part is finding the clients. And he and I were talking, and he said, yeah, they have a job opening at the company he was with. And he said, yeah, they give you the clients. I said, they give you the clients? He said, yeah, they give you a portfolio of clients, and you just have to service them and sell to them. I said, they give you the clients? I couldn't get past that point. And when he said that, that was my sales point. So I got an interview. They hired me on the spot. And then my career as a pharmaceutical salesperson kind of elevated from there.
Okay. So we're going to talk more about that evolution because you have many, many different facets of that business that we want to talk about, but we want to take a break right now.
Okay.
So we'll be back with Dr. Bailey on the Jamaica Diaspora Show in a moment. We'll be right back.
Could you recommend an 18 to 35-year-old talent for the Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council? The Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council is a youth-led organization dedicated to building engagement between diaspora youth and Jamaica. The Global Jamaica Diaspora Youth Council will serve to engage, empower and organize the youth of Jamaican heritage in the diaspora and mobilize them to connect and contribute to Jamaica's development. The voter registration and nomination period ends on the 2nd of January 2023. For more information, go to www.glowjamcouncils.com. That's www.glowjamcouncils.com.
We're back on the Jamaica Diaspora Show. I have Dr. Trisha Bailey here. Dr. Bailey is a Jamaican, but she grew up here in Hartford, Connecticut. And just for our UK and for our Canadian audience, I just want to emphasize that. Hartford is the third largest population of Jamaicans in the United States. Okay. That's a note that I always need to make people aware of, and also the fact that the Northeast United States diaspora is the most active and the most aggressive in terms of its support of Jamaica and Jamaican things. So we're most recently we've just started direct flights from Hartford to Kingston, Jamaica. That was spearheaded by the organization of people that are involved here in the diaspora.
That's great.
I'm aware that you are a former member of the West Indian Social Club. Were you?
I was not a member, but I was there all the time. I was a very rambunctious child.
Okay.
So when I was a teenager and they had those parties, I used to tell my mom I'm going somewhere else with some friend, and I was always at the West Indian Social Club.
Okay. Well, that's just a little tidbit of information I wanted to give to our UK and our Canadian audience. But I wanted to talk about business. And we left off with the fact that you started, you went from being a stockbroker into establishing a career in the pharmaceutical.
Yes.
How many different businesses do you have in medical, in the medical area?
Right now, I have a total of 15 different
business. So explain that, please explain.
And so there varies, and it varies. So I have 2 real estate development companies.
Right.
I have my main company, which is the medical equipment and supplies.
Right.
And then I have pharmacy, and I have scrubs. So all Bailey's brands. I have, actually no, I have 4 real estate development companies. 4 of those. And then I have the equestrian part, and I have the entertainment, and I'm also a owner of, minority owner for 3 NBA teams.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
and then I have
All right.
just
But I wanna-
a plethora of different things.
Okay, but I want to zero in on the medical piece.
Okay.
Right, because you've received some awards for your performance as a entrepreneur in the medical, and being the only woman.
Yes. So I'm the only black woman that I know of, that is, from what I've been told, I'm the only black woman in the medical equipment and supplies industry in the country.
Okay.
I've received various awards for different aspects of being in my company. Last year was voted one of the top final 4 best service providers in the medical equipment industry.
Okay.
I was also one of the 4 finalists for Woman of the Year a few years ago
Okay.
in the medical equipment and supplies industry. And my company is ranked in the top 60 of all Medicare providers, all companies in the country.
Okay, but I was trying to track where you started in pharmaceutical, all right? How, like, what's the jump here? Because first you were pharmaceutical, then what was the next one? How did and I'm just trying to stay within the medical framework.
Okay, so when
Right.
I went from being a stockbroker to the pharmaceutical industry,
Right.
and in 8 years in, I was finishing my doctorate at the time, and I got promoted every year to different positions. At this time, I was in California, and when I was hired for a specific position, was a cardiopulmonary specialist position in California. Standardly, the company would interview you. But because of my accolades and because of my performance in the company, they chose to overlook the interview and just hired me based on my background. I was number 1 and number 2 in sales every year. I was Rookie of the Year, Rep of the Year, and every award that they could give, I had received it over the past 5 years that I was with this particular company. When I got to California for this new position, the manager who hired me, based on his phone conversations with me, he did not know that I was black. And when I got there, my first engagement with him, he says, "Oh, I didn't know that you're black." And I said, "Okay." I didn't really think anything of it. He just didn't know. But he started majorly harassing me after that.
Wow.
So everything that was approved for me to do, where I could live, because they have to approve that, it started retracting everything, and the harassment just became so intense that I decided to transition and start my own business. And when I did that, I started a medical recruiting company, because I know physicians, and physicians have been my clients for my tenureship in the pharmaceutical industry. And so that's how it all kind of rolled into one.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. One of those situations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what. Yeah, I was in corporate America, but now I'm in a military environment. No politics.
Yeah.
None at all.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So now you have your other business projects. You have real estate development, in the U.S. and in Jamaica?
And Jamaica, yes.
Let's talk about what you're doing in the U.S.
So in the U.S., I have quite a bit of projects going. I have my main project I have are luxury condominiums, or actually townhouses in Ormond Beach on the beachfront. That's an ongoing project. I have several in Orlando. I have just variation of different things all over the country. It relates to real estate development part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you have projects in Jamaica.
Yes, I have projects in Jamaica. I'm building. There are 2 phases of luxury condominiums that are being built at the moment. Those are in Kingston, in Red Hills, Kingston. And then I also have a beach house that is currently being built, and a resort in Portland.
Okay, so what I was trying to figure out now, the development, when you develop, say in Jamaica, what market are you targeting? Are you targeting the diaspora?
Yes, diaspora is the luxury market, Canada, U.S., UK, and other countries as well as Jamaicans.
All right, okay. And so you have this half island. Now, what is that? I heard about that.
It's actually not. It's not a
half of an island. Where did you get the whole island?
Anymore. You're gonna send me some money in a mark.
Okay.
So it's actually it's off the pier of Jamaica. So it's not. I wouldn't. People say island. I wouldn't necessarily classify it as an island, but it looks like an island when you look at it. It's Flemings, Ian Flemings. He owns the other half, and I own half of it.
Is that women? That's up in Portland.
That's in Portland. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's in Portland.
All right. Okay. Okay. So that's what that is.
Yeah.
Right. So at what point will you feel that you've achieved your business objectives? I mean, you have.
I don't know if I will ever feel that way.
Really?
No, because there's always the burning desire inside that says, okay, what next? And so far, people say, you feel like you have made it. No, I haven't made it yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
All right.
I'll make it.
Okay. Now, I'm a horse lover. Okay. First of all, how it was for you growing up in Hartford. I mean, all I know is the Ebony Horsewoman here. Were you what got you interested in horses?
So I knew nothing about horses. The only thing I knew was business, real estate, what's a good buy. And what ended up happening, this particular property, 58 acres that I own, the equestrian farm that I own, they went into bankruptcy. It was a bankruptcy sale. So as you know, with bankruptcy sales, the prices are usually significantly less than what they normally would be. And so I bought the property as is. And then I had to put some money into it to get it,
But you had horses when you bought the property?
There were 3 mini stallions on the property. There were no horses. Mini stallions are different. You can't ride them. They're just really pets.
Right.
So you can't ride those. And so at the time, there were outside of the mini stallions. That was it. Now we have about close to 60 plus horses. They're mid-level to Olympic level jumping horses. It's an absolutely beautiful property. There's a 12,000 square foot mansion, Airbnb mansion that's on the property, as well as event centers that are there.
So, so what are all the activities? I've been around horse ranches.
Oh, so we have a lot. So we have the goats and the chickens, and we have the koi fish, we have the golfing driving range. And then they have the horses. You can come and feed them and pet them.
So was the B&B, and then the people can go and enjoy the
rest of the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they can ride
I can make arrangement.
Ride horses and.
I can make arrangements for them to ride the horses that I own, because not all the horses I personally own. Okay. The stables are rented to other owners, and we care for the horses on the property.
Okay. Because horses are very therapeutic.
Yes, very.
I know I tried to get my granddaughter into the Ebony Horsewoman last summer. I wanted to bring her up, but yeah, I've always liked horses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you ride?
I do not.
You don't ride at all?
I don't ride at all.
No?
My kids ride.
Okay.
Yeah, my kids ride.
Right.
They love their horses.
Do you know what Frisian horses are?
Fusion horse?
Frisian.
Frisian.
Frisian. Or excuse me, Frisian.
Frisian, no.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I had a friend who actually was. I visited in Africa. She actually had 4 horses, and one of them was a Frisian. They look like those Clydesdales type of horses.
Yeah, no, I'm
They're
not.
very strong.
We probably have some there, but
Yeah.
I don't really do the horse thing per se, other than I go pet them and feed them.
Really?
And take pictures.
Okay. Now, so I wanted to get to the point where we wanted to talk about your book. This is, this book. But before we do that, we got to take another break.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll do that right now. We'll be right back with Dr. Bailey in a moment on the Jamaica Diaspora Show. We'll be right back.
When you fail and you don't stop, what naturally happens is that you will pick it up, be uplifted. You will find a way to continue on this journey. This year, if you have not cried, if you have not failed, you have not succeeded. Because in order to succeed, you must fail first. If you cannot receive corrections, you can never succeed. There has never been an expert who has not tried and failed. Have you ever done something once and decided that, I'm not doing this again? I know none of you in this room feel that way. Because an expert does it wrong and fixes the errors, and do it wrong again and fixes more errors, until they get to that point when they say, you know what, I have done it. That's the reason why you are here today. You have never given up.
And we're back with Dr. Trisha Bailey on the Jamaica Diaspora Show, Hartford Public Access Television. Well, so Dr. Bailey, now you have this multifaceted style about you, and now you're an author. Let's talk about this book, okay? Now, the book, Unbroken.
Unbroken.
The journey of your experiences. Let's talk about it. How did these experiences shape you as a person? How did they shape you as a leader?
I think as a leader, you must have a component of challenges that you have overcome in order to be able to relate to people who you lead, and in order to inspire people. And my life has been far from challengeless. It has been, I have hit places where others would call rock bottom. For me, they were below rock bottom. And I believe my story will inspire people, women, men, children, and it will bring them a sense of, I can do this too. And my job, my sole responsibility to the universe is to help others. And that's why I've decided to write my book, Unbroken.
Yeah, but it's, but when you look at your journey, I mean, I saw your journey, like just from the high level view of coming from Jamaica, going to high school here in sports, getting a scholarship to go to UConn, and that is like putting you on the track for success. That's an opportunity that leads to success.
It does. It does.
And so that's kind of, when you look at that, you say gee, the sky's the limit,
Right. So there's a phrase that goes around often. I hear, you see the glory, but you don't know the story. And I think in this
okay.
in this book, you will understand the story, the deepest level of challenges, being able to overcome
Okay.
deep level of abuse, whether it's mental, physical, emotional abuse, being able to overcome challenges in the business aspect and the pressure that it takes, that you feel, and you have to find a way to move beyond that pressure so that you can actually stay on the path of success.
Okay. So now, I know I had the question that I had is about the guidance that you can offer, or that that you can offer. How has this journey enabled you, as a leader, to empower others through your experience?
It has empowered me in ways that I can relate. I can relate to a young woman who's a single mother. I can relate to a wife who's a professional woman who's going through variation of challenges, whether through with children, husband, professional lives. I can relate, and I'm able to be compassionate in those situations. If you have not gone through a journey, you will never be able to really feel what that journey looks like. So my ability to be able to collaborate with men, women, and children, and to be able to inspire them comes from a deeper place than simply, okay, I'm a successful business person, because no one gave me anything. I had boost. My scholarship was my boost at University of Connecticut.
Right.
But I've never been given. I've been given opportunities, and my role and my responsibility. And as from a young girl, I knew that I had to take full advantage of those responsibilities. For example, I was slated to graduate as a fifth year. And I said, absolutely not. They're paying for this scholarship. I'm graduating in 4 years because I'm not paying when I don't have to. So my last year at UConn, my last 2 years, I was taking 20 hours credits, running track and working at the same time.
Giving guidance, from your experiences. How do you work with those? How do you disseminate that knowledge? How do you disseminate that information to those that need that guidance? Or how do you, in fact, how do you even recognize that they need that guidance? Are they coming to you for advice?
So my staff obviously comes to me for advice. I also do a mentorship. I do mentorship for others. Now it's very difficult to do that because I have a lot more requests than I did before. So what I've done is, you're my mentee. I meet with you for 1 hour. We talk about what you're looking to do, how you're looking to do it, and I tell you, here are the steps in getting from stage 1 to the level of success. So I give them the formulas to do that. And my job, I always tell my mentees, my responsibility is not to come back and ask you how you're doing. Your responsibility is to come back and tell me how you're doing.
Right.
And the people, I would say that I'm very proud of the people in which I have mentored over the years, because they come back 6 months later or 1 year later, and they're at such amazing place with their levels of success because of the focus and the advice that I have afforded them.
Now, something I forgot to ask, I neglected to ask. You have children. How many children?
I do. I have that's my joy. My children are my heaven, my earth, and everything in between. I have 5.
5?
I have 5.
What are the ages?
24, 20, 13, 8, and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A 4-year-old. He runs it.
You married?
I'm not married.
Oh, you're not married?
No.
Okay. And so what are the projects that are near and dear to your heart?
Projects that are near and everything I do is near and dear to my heart. I was told that I lead with, like my good friend Rohan, he leads with his heart, I lead with my heart. So everything that I get involved with, I am engulfed and I become it. So from my real estate development projects, my charitable work, it makes me feel amazing to be able to be in the position to be able to give a young girl a scholarship, a full scholarship in medicine or whatever program that they are involved in. Those are the things that drive me every day, and it keeps me just floating.
Okay.
These are the things that I absolutely love.
Well, I can't get away without asking you about, okay, for our audience and for those that are listening who are, aspiring entrepreneurs, what kind of recommendations do you have for them? Can you give them?
Yes. So the first recommendation, after you have formed the company, first you must figure out whether or not you need an S corporation, and that means all. And again, I'm not an accountant, so I'm using my general knowledge here. S corporations, it comes to you in a K1, which means that after your corporation take a loss or a gain, the rest of the money comes to you directly, or a LLC or a C corp, and you talk to your accountant in order to figure those things out. But the first thing I must say that you must do is hire a salesperson. The first employee that you should hire is always a salesperson. Why?
Or marketing or sales marketing.
Same thing. And the reason for that being is because you need someone, while you're figuring out your administrative part, the financial component, you need someone who's bringing in the business. So because you have a pretty office does not mean you're going to sell a single thing. And if you're not selling, then there's really not a whole bunch of purposes of you having a business, because you got to sell. That's the whole point of making the money. So hire a salesperson, and then the money start coming in. Because the reason why I say salesperson, not only because you need the business, you just started, the other part of it, you can hire salespeople as commission-based. So the expenses is not as ginormous as it is to hire someone that's in the office, because you got to give them work if you're paying them to do. Pay attention to everything that you are doing, whether it is your accounting, whether it's especially your overhead. Keep it as low as you possibly can keep it when you start out. This is going to enable you to be able to have the resources to be able to expand in different areas, to buy more products, and not feeling that stress. There's a huge level of stress that comes with starting the business, especially the first several years.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Now, I want to get to some recommendations that you want to make for young people.
Yeah, young people, remain disciplined, structured. You do not have to fight every single fight. You're going to experience life, and challenges will come to you. Pick your battles. That is one of the most pronounced and underrated statement. Pick your battle. Just because someone demonstrates skills of racism or things of racism or sexism, it doesn't mean that you must fight every single thing. You must know where you're going. Your goals are so, so important, and your goals must be numbers. Because if you say to me, if I say to you, I want to be wealthy, my version of wealthy is may be different from your version of wealthy or rich. Your goals must be numbers. And when you do that, let's say you say, I want to make $1 million. What you will do right after that, you figure out how many products that you have to sell and what your liabilities are in order to get to that million. Once you have a focal point, it is so much easier to touch it versus when you just blanketly just going.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much. And it's that time we wind down, and I'm so honored and privileged to have you on the show. It's been great. I appreciate you coming, and my opportunity to meet you. I'm very thankful, and thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Jamaica Diaspora Show. We have to wrap it up here. And we'll be back next week with more programming on Hartford Public Access Television. Thank you for joining us.